Hi, my name is Olivia Voss, and welcome to the Forgotten History Podcast, where we will talk about the forgotten stories in history. Today, we will be talking about the Pullman Porters and what you need to know about their story. The name Pullman comes from George M. Pullman, who was a Chicago businessperson and owner of the Pullman Palace Car Company. The company built, owned, and operated a majority of luxury train cars. In 1859, he was able to convince the Chicago, Alton, and St. Louis Railroad to let him convert two old passengers cars into luxurious sleeping cars. These would be a hit for the wealthier passengers. He would truly revolutionize train travel. But George needed people to be able to run it, and come the Pullman Porters. So, who were the Pullman Porters? They were formerly enslaved African American men working in servitude on the Pullman sleeping cars. He started hiring thousands of them after the Civil War to help serve as passengers. George Pullman was open to hiring them due to the fact that they would know how to cater to his customers' every whim. Mr. Pullman also thought that black porters, especially those with darker skin, would be less noticeable with his white middle and upper class customers, which in turn would make them feel comfortable on their journey. The Pullman Porters became important figures when it came to making change for future generations. When the American Railroad Union refused to accept black workers in the mid-1890s, they formed the first all-black union, known as the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, otherwise known as BSCP. Its founder, A. Philip Randolph, was a social activist and the publisher of the magazine, The Messenger. He and the union would secure bigger wages, less working hours, and make the lives better for the Pullman Porters. They would also go on to play huge roles in the civil rights movement, including to help form public policy in Washington, D.C. that would lead to the passage of the Civil Rights Act. My wonderful colleague, Professor George, says about the Pullman Porters that I think of a double-edged sword when I think of the Pullman Porters. On one end, it meant a rise in economic stability. For the first time in history, black people were able to send their kids to college. They were able to get heavily involved in the American political arena. Even though this was good progress for the community, it came at a price. He states it meant long hours, really hard work, and sometimes humiliating work. The life of a Pullman porter was often very prosperous, but it was long and grueling. The job itself was a good career option, and many of the men would follow generations who came before them. The wages for workers were higher than other black workers at the time, and that it was less demanding than field labor. Some stories from workers truly show the life was like aboard. One from Walter Biggs, a son of a Pullman porter, said, "One of the most remarkable stories I liked hearing about was how, when Jackie Gleason would ride, all the porters wanted to be on the run. The reason? Not only because he gave every porter $100, but it was just the fun and the excitement. The respect that he gave the porters. Instead of their names being George, he called everybody by their first name. He always had a piano in the car and sang, danced, and had a great time. He was just a fun person to be around." Another Pullman porter named Dawson Hodges recalls the time of meeting movie stars aboard the train, including Mae West. Despite many of these opportunities, there was still much prejudice and racism they faced on the job. They were often mistreated and overworked. An example of this is the passengers on the train would often address the porters in derogatory terms like boy This term was from enslavement, or George after George Pullman. With much of this treatment, they were not allowed to complain. They often worked at least 400 hours a month, and had to rely on tipping to be able to make a decent living. Lynn Hughes, a porter, stated, "It didn't pay a livable wage, but they made a living with the tips they got, because the salary was nothing." Their success was a strong win, but it came at a price. In conclusion, the Pullman Porters were a start for liberation and stability for the African American community. Their positions in servitude helped lead the way to fight for civil rights and to be able to build financial stability for generations to come. They played a pivotal moment in history, and now you know about them. Thank you.